Hey Questers, welcome to our Champions of Order episode where we talk about the latest Soulbound release from Cubicle 7. This week we discuss the book, whether or not it deserves your investment, and how we're modifying the player characters based on what's inside that book. If you want to help support us creating RPG content and grow our Age of Sigmar Soulbound campaign, you can chip us a few dollars over at patreon.com/questward. You can also help us out with a review on Apple Podcasts, which will help push the show forward to new listeners. Thanks, and take care. Let's kick this off and get started because we're together. We're all together for the first time.
For the last time.
And I'm so sorry.
We're all here. There are no issues. It's great to see you all.
What were we doing in introductions again?
We're doing them right now, Dylan.
I know,
But what kind of intro do you want?
I'm going to run through everybody's names and like who you're playing, and then you're going to say your name and
Dave,
hi.
you didn't send
And
it
everything
to
like that.
We went over this for 30 minutes before this.
It was 5 minutes each? Oh, it's just 5 minutes total. Okay, never
Okay.
mind.
I
It's
thought you
5
wanted
minutes
like
total.
a rundown of I'm like, did you want like a character description and like a personal description? Like how detailed do you want this?
Can you just tell me about yourself? Yeah. Dylan, welcome. Dylan, aka Maris Honeysuckle.
Hello. I'm
Isaac,
Maris
aka
Honeysuckle.
Frostblade.
Oh, nope, we're not doing that.
I see.
This is
I thought you were done.
We're going well.
Wait, are we not speaking? Are you just?
Dave, do you want to start with me? I got a thing. I'll try to set the tone.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That would help.
The first person we're talking to today is Franco, aka Cassandra Taylor.
Hey, yeah, I play Cassandra Taylor, the rough and tough rancher from the town of Gulch.
We have Dylan, aka Maris Honeysuckle.
Hello, as Dave said, I'm Dylan. I play Maris, the trade pioneer with a heart of gold, a Mustari named Pickles, and a weird obsession with death.
Heart of Darkness. Sorry.
Question mark? Yeah. And Isaac, aka Frostblade.
Hi, I'm Isaac, and I play Frostglade. And he's a Kurnoth hunter, and he is really sad right now, but we'll get to that.
Marielle, aka Bort Jortson.
Hello, I'm Ariel. I play Bort Jortson, the shady Dwarden Endrin Master.
Port.
Murray, aka Phallus Ossusboson.
Yarr, it's me, Phallus. I have no idea where I'm from. I have a mysterious background.
I have no idea where I'm from.
It's mysterious.
He can't read, okay?
Yeah.
I can't read my own backstory.
I often find that the most mysterious people are the type of people that tell you that they are mysterious.
Yes.
And we have Nico as Okri Okerson.
Hello, yeah, I play Okri, the Dwarden ether chemist with the heart of a scoundrel.
Sweet. And so today, we are gathered here today to talk through the most recent supplement that was released for AOS Soulbound called Champions of Order. So what this is, if you've played other RPG systems in the past, you might be familiar with what might be referred to as some kind of player's handbook or a compendium. Basically what this does is it expands on the kinds of available classes, adds in a bunch of new talents, endeavors, adds in subclasses. So in this episode, we're just basically going to talk about this expansion and actually how it's going to apply to our characters. So this is going to involve a lot of character management, basically doing our leveling here, going on some endeavors, and everyone's going to be able to choose a new subclass, which we have not actually used yet. So yeah, and what do you guys think? Do you get a chance to read through the supplement?
I think it's cool.
I didn't get word for word all the way through, but there are a whole lot of new endeavors, which is exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's some really cool ones.
In terms of subclass, Dave, is that, like, for me, it's the Glade I choose, and for others, they have something similar, or is it something else?
No, you got it exactly right.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, I was worried there.
Yeah, so an example would be just for people listening. Let's say you're making a Stormcast Eternal. You use the base archetype, but you might want to play as one of the Celestial Vindicators, and you'll be able to get a ability or some kind of trait that goes along with being of that specific faction. So I mean, like for us, when we've been playing, like some of the characters have already kind of defined that in their backstory. Others not so much, and I think others are probably going to be in a situation where we need to kind of move some things together. So we'll figure that out as we go through.
Some of us are mysterious.
So mysterious. I don't want any special rules.
One of the things I did notice about the talents, because I noticed this when I was looking through the core talents, is that there wasn't many defensive-minded talents. They're very, they're super offensive. But there was a couple of good defensive ones in Champions of Order that kind of piqued my interest.
Yeah, I really liked kind of the way they had gone with this. Like, obviously, like a big part of this book is adding the Lumineth Realm Lords, which are kind of like your high elf kind of faction. So they've added a lot of like specific ones for them, but they've kind of expanded on a bunch of different existing ones as well. Like there's a bunch of new like Aether talents. I think, did anyone take a look at the spells? Are those new spells, or are they kind of
they're all new
revised versions? They're new.
Nice. They're all new. Yeah. For like, I think there's like more new common spells, and then they have like new amethyst, I only know amethyst because that's what Maris has. But yeah,
only
there's
amethyst.
Like, I think each of them have like 3 or 4 new spells that are pretty great. And like the miracles, like I was like, damn, I wish I was blessed, because like some of those, like the blessed talent, because some of the miracles are like, oh, I could tear out someone's heart, it turns into a seed, and then I plant it in the ground. Like after they die, oh cool. So like if Cass died, Cass, I'm just gonna take your goddamn heart and bury you on Berlin.
I'm glad that you don't have that ability. That sounds terrifying.
I might be heading in that direction. Don't you worry.
I'm worried now. I was starting at not worried, and now I'm currently worried.
Oh man,
but that's not a miracle for like a dark god. That's like the goddess of light or fertility. Yeah.
Right here, dude. We're on it.
Right, there you go.
You guys can just kill yourselves. I'll take care of it anyway.
Finally, I can be released from this nightmare. Now you're back. You're back. I was also looking at the backgrounds was kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many of them, and they all seem to be unique. I have no idea what I want, honestly.
Yeah, I was taking a look through them as well. There was a couple of them that are like, I don't know if we get the benefits from them, because they're like, oh yeah, if you take this, then you add these things to your archetype's talent pool, but that's only applicable for when you're creating your character in the beginning.
That's true.
So for the sub-factions?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say that like the way that I want to run this is, I mean, we jumped into an RPG system, pretty new, like when it was coming out, and this wasn't really defined yet. So I think that you all can take the sub-faction traits, like the background traits, and we'll kind of apply them as you're like leveling and everything like that, because your character's backgrounds are you are who you are, and you've gotten to this point. To deny the fact that you'd be from X Glade or a certain city would be kind of almost like worse than not giving it to you anyways, and just kind of explaining why you didn't get those traits before. So yeah, we'll totally give. I want you guys to all play with that, unless you choose not to, for whatever reason.
No, I mean definitely, I want a bonus talent.
Yeah,
give me free things.
Yeah, if it's free, take it. Yeah. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth there.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm just my question was, or my concern was just like some of them don't seem to be like we'll have to finagle them a little bit to make them apply to the characters, because some of those things can only be applied at character creation.
Oh sure, I haven't seen those, so yeah, we'll have to take a look and kind of go for that.
Yeah,
something else I saw that was kind of
like
interesting
weird questions.
Was this reforging flaw thing. If anybody took a look at that, it doesn't really apply to NES right now, but this is the kind of stuff that I really like in this kind of format. There's like a table with a 1d6 you roll twice, and then if you're a Stormcast, you get reforged with a flaw, and it's just a table of random effects that you can like bring into kind of the character, the roleplay aspect of the game. A couple of like cool ones, like rain does not touch you is kind of cool. Like everything tastes the same to you. These are all kind of like fun little things.
Some of these are very like flavorful and light, and the others is like mortals can only touch you briefly as their skin begins to crackle and convulse when in contact with your body. So you can basically just play rogue.
That's true.
Hug everyone.
Yeah.
Nico, you had something to say?
Yeah, I was actually going to say the reforging flaw table is one of my favorite parts of this book, just because it adds like that much more. Like you said, like little things like your eyes crackle with lightning, all the way down to everyone has a small feature of something that killed you in your past life. Just yeah, it's just really cool because it really fleshes out the way Stormcast are and the way they operate in the world. Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. Really enjoyed that. Yeah.
The one here that would be like the worst for any of us to potentially get, I don't know if where the story leads or if anybody will eventually be reforged, but to you, all running water or waves sounds like the dire screaming of a monstrous beast. I hear screams all the time.
Pretty brutal for you guys being on the open ocean a lot of the time.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you still drink water? I mean, it's going to be a rough day every day.
My water is screaming.
Yeah.
I mean, how quickly would you get? Yeah, I mean, it either drive you mad or you just get used to it. Just kind of, it just becomes background noise, like you're living in the city and just cars traveling all day.
Mm-hmm.
There were some neat new archetypes as well. I'm trying to like find them. There was one where I was like, you weaponize emotion. I was like, holy shit.
Good lord.
like the scariest of therapists.
Yeah.
The Sonari Cathalar, I want to say.
Yeah,
Is that right?
sounds about right. I'm just like frantically scrolling, but yeah. And then there was that one that looked like half human, half tree that looked especially terrifying. The Spite Revenant. Yeah.
That's actually a good point too. Like we're talking about all these like detailed little things. The biggest thing this book brought was new races. Off the top of my head, there is a couple of new archetypes for Daughters of Cain. There's the Fire Slayers, and then the what was the final one? The Ideneth Deepkin. I think there was something else in here too.
The Ideneth Deepkin one is especially fun because the Soul Render, their talent Lurlight, you actually have to harvest enemies' souls, and through this little like light they have at the end of their helmet. And weirdly enough, all the souls, either like things you fight, it's like it depends on like the class of things you're fighting. If you're fighting something that is a warrior or higher, you get to have a strong soul that like restores soul fire. Or if it's weak souls, it's just like, you get to recover toughness. But the fact that you start playing around with people's like afterlives is like,
sorry, you're basically like harvesting souls. Basic, like that's the idea. You're just harvesting people's souls up and weaponizing them. That is that's an evil act if I ever heard one.
Yeah, but awesome.
Cassandra just ends up murdering everybody. It's like, you're evil, you're evil.
Oh, how much does that increase doom?
Yeah, that's right.
Also, like, I was just scrolling through here really quick, and I think it was equipment, and like, we were joking about like farming Trident, and then there's a weapon called a Trident Dagger, which I'm kind of like, what?
Okay.
Is that just like, help me, Mortal Kombat? What are those things that are like tiny?
Oh, like a sai? Is that
The
what they're called?
Sai? Like the Raphael, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what a Trident Dagger would just be? Why would you call it a Trident Dagger? That's just like a farming trident.
Well, I mean, it depends on how you hold it.
Are we talking? Like,
a Trident Dagger appears as a single short blade, no different from your typical. Oh, it's fancy. Sorry, it's fancy.
oh.
No different than your typical dagger. However, pressing a button hidden in the guard causes the blade to split into 3. So it's just a.
Oh, so it's not like it's not like a fork. It's more like you imagine they all meet at the
like
hilt.
A switchblade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
this. Oh, that's okay. Now you describe
so
it as
fans out, like fans out, as opposed to being like eat a fork.
It's more badass.
I feel like there's a Soul Calibur
thinking.
guy that has those on his hands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Voldo.
Yeah.
Edward Voldo hands.
Isn't it Vega? Vega has
Vega's Street Fighter.
Oh my goodness, David.
Oh my goodness.
What industry are you in?
David!
Really showing your
I was
age.
muted and reading about equipment, and I had to jump in to get after you about that.
Oh,
I also forgot to mention, I think it was probably one of the more obvious ones too, was like I forgot to say that there is the new Lumineth Realm Lords. available as well, which are basically the high elves of Age of Sigmar.
And naturally, Nico picked them up as an army and is building them out to 2,000 points. So, as is tradition. Yeah.
As is
Something
tradition.
new, I got to paint
And
it.
now I have, and they have a bunch of support. So yeah, how are your lizardmen?
Jump through this call.
Oh, he took that triple dagger and he clicked the button and he stabbed you with it.
Trash talking already.
Well, I'm getting an Underworld's warband. They look really cool, guys. Okay. Let's see. What else can we talk about? So spells. We talked a little bit about that. Looks like there's a little bit a specific section I'm seeing here in the index called Caradron equipment. So I don't know if you you Dwarden players have looked through that at all yet.
I did look through it. It was, I think they were, a couple seemed kind of cool to me because maybe I'll get into it with the endeavors later because I wanted to ask if I was able to do both like an engineering endeavor and also repair equipment because I kind of need to do both. One of them's like because like every time we
be depleting.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if I can only do one, that's fine. But
I can answer that right now, actually, because with the way that we're doing this, when I was reading more about it, it's kind of not necessarily every time you do an endeavor, but kind of a little bit more between adventures when this kind of thing happens. So imagine you're doing a big long adventure, and then you have to repair your equipment at the end of it. I think given the fact that you guys are doing like short missions, I think we'll probably do every other endeavor period. You're going to have to do your maintenance, but you don't have to do it every single time. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we're just doing them at a different frequency. Than like a traditional like campaign would be.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's not every endeavor period.
Can we spend maybe 5 minutes just talking about the binding real quick here? Because now maybe I missed it on my first pass through the original Player's Handbook, but
it's permanent cast.
The Champions of Order book kind of goes into a little bit more detail. Things like, who did your binding? By the way, that's something I'd like to know. Who forged our binding, Dave? Was it
Lawless?
And is that like
Lawless did? Yeah.
Is that through Sigmar, or is it like
yes?
Okay.
Yeah.
Through the power of Sigmar, he binds us.
So that's actually that's a good thing to point out because there is Champions of Order, and I believe they have announced Champions of Death and Champions of Destruction.
Yes, they have.
Meaning that in the future,
exciting.
you're going to be able to do campaigns as the Undead and as that. Presumably, they'll do some kind of Champions of Chaos too. But I'm already getting ideas about doing a death-themed campaign. That'd be super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, then the characters for that campaign, they would have death metal?
Damn.
Boo.
Boo.
I wish I had I just changed my shirt, but I had one that says classically trained dad school.
God. Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on, please.
So, but the original core book was kind of really lacking in the binding, and I think I remember seeing like in the Age of Sigmar Discord server, like people actually asking like what happens when you go through like soul binding, and like it's not super descriptive, so it seems to like go more into that, like you were saying, Franco.
The specific things I noticed were why were you chosen, what did you gain, and what did you lose? And something that is starting to matter a little bit more to me is what did you lose? Because it's pretty intense. I don't want to go like word for word here, but off the top of my head, none of us are able to have children anymore. Are literally, and I quote, "Your life is forfeit." And so like, in my mind, I think this came as like a knock-on of like not having this whole process kind of like fully fleshed out in like the original PHB, but like it almost feels as if our group has been kind of conned into taking on this very powerful binding without like knowledge of what we actually were doing. Like it was like, oh no, you guys just mix her up and you'll
Without
get real
knowing
strong.
the price almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like what did we pay? And now like kind of as a player, I'm starting to realize this, and I'm trying to think about like what the ramifications are to my character when or if she finds out.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually really interesting because I did write like a short story for Dave for when Phallus first joined the Binding, and it's very much like he essentially got sold off by his captain to, I don't know, we'll explore this part, but yeah, I had written a short story. And then he doesn't even know what he was getting into when this whole thing, it was just a transaction that kind of occurred, and he was the goods being sold.
And then like the next day, you're suddenly wrapped up in this thing that's beyond you. You don't really know what's going on. You've kind of been, although that calls into question, like, how good is the collective, right? Like the Storm's mandate, like we'll take anybody at this point. We just want to cast the Binding and have these people work for us. Like maybe there's a reason behind that, maybe there's not, who knows, but it's kind of like it calls into question many different kind of aspects of what we've gotten ourselves into.
Yeah, and I mean, I might not know like the lore that much, but to me, Sigmar seems very much like the ends justify the means type of person.
Sounds about right.
So like that works out.
Yeah, I mean, like canonically, he's very much like he is like a prideful god. Like if you could imagine like an Odin or a Thor kind of Norse king. But yeah, so like we haven't really explored the Storm's Mandate very much. That is something that's totally available for you all to explore more as we go. So we've talked a little bit about the book. I would say that like I don't think it's an essential kind of pickup. If you want to play Soulbound, I wouldn't say it's like required, but it basically adds depth to like everything. So like it adds like you have a lot more classes, you have a lot more talents, you have a lot more endeavors, spells, and everything like that. So it's kind of a good if you want to take it to the next level with Champions of Order.
Yeah, I would suggest getting it. Like, yeah, you're saying you could do without, but like it gives a lot of flavor and spice and just some like, oh, this is really cool stuff.
Something I quite enjoy about it is it's right after the Endeavors, which the Endeavors by themselves are absolutely amazing. There's a ton of super great stuff. One of my favorite is Desperate Measures that needs to have Doom at 7 or higher, and you automatically gain 20 XP. That's just, you just get that. You just make deals, unearth like horrible powers, and you're just like, all right, here's 20 XP. You can never gain XP again. I'm shooting for that one day. That'd be hilarious. But something I quite enjoyed was the allies and contracts being actually having like organizations you can hire. Like if you want to hire a Shadowblade, hey, you want an assassin that can go do stuff for you, and then like the DN, like there's the game master can like roll a couple dice and see if he actually does what you paid him to do, and like it's nice having like these services and organizations you can kind of talk to and like get to. You can hire an engineer, which is kind of fun. Stuff like that. Charter a boat with a carriage on captain. So those are, I actually quite enjoyed reading through that one just to see all the different things you could actually do in the world. And those are really fun.
There were some darker endeavors like that one, and then the Succumb to Despair one, which I was like, you indulge your worst vices. I was like, what? That's just like I was like, like at some point there's going to be maybe one of our characters or someone's characters at some point, like nothing to lose. And so you might do like what you were talking about, Nico, or like Succumbing to Despair. Cause like, what is our Doom at? Like 7. As of the last recording? Was it at 7?
7?
Yeah, it was
oh
at
boy.
7. So like,
was it actually at 7? Oh god.
Wait, is it actually at 7?
I thought it was
I thought it was at 4.
Yeah, I thought it was
It's definitely not 4. It's either it's 6 or 7.
My god.
We talked about it. Where was it?
Or it's 6, because they're
I thought we were hovering around
I
like
recall
50% or something.
Okay.
I helped add.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure it's 7. But actually that's a good kind of segue into, looking through the original PHB, there's no real good way to reduce Doom. Like we played a little bit of the, I've forgotten the name, Fateful Night, expansion book, on stream, and in that book the details of the encounters were like, you go into this encounter, Doom immediately goes up by X amount, and then however the characters address the problem in front of them will bring that Doom back down. So basically if you do everything you can in an encounter in those kind of situations, then your Doom would go back down to its original starting value. But we're playing a little bit differently. And so we were chatting about how we might reduce Doom, because the only actual way to do it is through an endeavor where everybody has to sit back and, work really hard to reduce Doom by 1. And that's one
at the
endeavor.
Campfire. Yeah.
Kumbaya, yeah. So what's our plan going forward, Dave, for how we kind of address the way that we handle Doom?
Yeah, so I would say like that we should be looking through all these different new endeavors. I believe I saw a couple here. Where was it?
There's at least 3, I believe. A Grand Feast. There is, I believe, Cultivate, and then there's Purge. Purge Lore.
Purge
I think
Lore,
all can reduce Doom.
So there are kind of different ways to play where you can kind of like almost put some things up. So for example, Purge Lore, if you wanted to take that endeavor, you do a stealth test to basically hide a secret about yourself, which is secret from everyone except the DM and the players, or the player doing it. And you basically hide something from existence. You almost like create a secret that has become secret, becomes unknown, and then your Doom decreases. But if anyone finds out, your Doom goes up. Nat 1 +1 overall. You can. Where's this other one? What were those other ones called, Nico?
A Grand Feast, which is it requires the warm meal talent, a bunch of ingredients, like drops worth of ingredients, and then also a cause for celebration. And the binding gathers together for a sumptuous celebratory meal around a table heavy with favorite dishes, surrounded by gentle light and easy laughter. The mortal realm's dangers seem smaller and farther away, and it reduces the Doom
Sigmar
by
Fest.
1. And actually, you recover all Soulfire.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
It's a pretty good one.
It sounds
I
good.
didn't.
Yeah.
That was
How?
one talent that I could have taken for the Trade Pioneer. Guess what? I didn't take it.
I thought you did.
No, I didn't.
I mean,
So,
do you
Sure
have
did.
a useless talent you can swap out, one that you haven't used yet? Maybe.
How bad? Oh, that's actually begs another question, Dave, about retraining. But how bad is it for Doom to be at either 6 or 7, wherever it is right now?
Mhm.
Sure. So, like, you can imagine, like, level 10 is pretty much like apocalyptic, right? Like,
Okay.
it's really, really bad. The book describes it. I think as soon as you get above like 5, there like people are getting like tense, and there is like the like one of the implications was like that's where hope begins to like fade, and you might have people turning against you who wouldn't normally,
Mhm.
or threats emerging, or everything like that. So there is like a significant threat bubbling under the surface as soon as you basically cross over that threshold. I will also say, when you guys approached Westercast, that scenario played out a lot differently because the Doom was higher. So like a lot of scenarios are like scale up if you have Doom like maintained. So there were more of those creatures that appeared because your Doom was higher. Basically +1 for each Doom above.
Oh,
So
Oh, I
yeah.
see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, that was-
if
that
your
was
Doom
rough.
had been a lot lower,
Thanks, Dave.
that would probably have played. That probably would have played out a lot differently. Yeah.
I feel like the game is structured so that it's supposed to, like, that Doom is supposed to creep in pretty quickly. And I don't know if we're supposed to ever bring it back down to 0. I feel like it's this, like, slowly escalating thing where we're supposed to build up to this, like, kind of, hopefully not apocalyptic, but, like, like harder than average kind of
Mhm.
setting.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how long Dave envisions this campaign going for, and whether that's sustainable.
yeah, one more adventure, Murray. Thanks for asking. We're all dead soon.
Well, so I will say, if you don't maintain Doom, things potentially might end prematurely because you might die. Like it's one of those situations where you do need to keep track of this, like sanity meter, because it's going to affect things in very subtle but meaningful ways.
We did have kind of a twist, or like something unexpected happened to our Doom meter. Because we ended up playing, I think it was Crash and Burn specifically. We were using the rules within that module, where if some of the dwarves died, it brings Doom up by 1. And I thought we were doing pretty good until the very end when there was that Troggoth fight, and Doom went up pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that is not I would say that's kind of like an outlier. Maybe our doom is, a little bit higher than it might have been if we hadn't followed those rules.
I also didn't realize that my endeavor would increase the doom. I thought I was just doing some fun backstory stuff.
Actions have consequences, Marielle. Actions have consequences.
Was fun backstory things. Like bad stuff can be fun.
Yeah.
But
again, I did not realize what the cost would be.
No, I love it.
So I think are we ready to jump in and do some character management?
Oh, joy.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, boy.
So does anyone want to start?
I think Nico does.
Yeah, I can just get that out of the way.
Okay. I'm glad you're so enthusiastic about it.
Have a good time with it.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Secret surgeries all around.
So to start, oh my god, to start off, Okri, how much XP do you have to spend?
So I have 2 XP to spend right now from our the Skaven oil rig adventure. And I have decided to actually have a choice here. And I was thinking about either spending it on the talent Creator or the talent Etheric Agitator. And I was probably going to do Etheric Agitator because it makes any etheric blast weapons double the blast value. However, anytime I take a serious or deadly wound on a 1, I roll a d6, and on a 1, the explosive explodes and deals damage to me and anyone around me. Which I was like, that sounds kind of fun. And then Creator is the safe choice.
Yeah.
And Creator being the safe one is it just means the complexity to make new items goes down by 1, which sounds cool, but also much more boring than better explosives, but better explosives. So I was going to go for Etheric Agitator as the talent, I think. And otherwise, since we're picking backgrounds, in my character's backstory, I am from Barrack Mornar, the largest and richest skyport. This is the best one. Don't ask anyone else. And their backstory trait is the steering hand, which means that whenever I speak to a large group of person, I double any training in guile and intimidation. Which, I think I'm going to make actually probably pretty good use of that because Okri likes to talk. Yeah. And
like
otherwise,
the I
don't really have anything else to... I have my Endeavor planned, but that's for later, so... Yeah, that's pretty much it, actually. I don't really have anything else to spend my XP on.
Mm-hmm. It's tough to go wild with 2 XP.
Yeah, really, you can't, in fact.
Okay, sweet. That's good for Okri. Phallus, do you want to go next?
Sure. I actually talked with you a little bit about some of the talents. It's actually interesting because I know, like, when we take an archetype, we get a bunch of talents that we can choose at character creation, and some of them might not necessarily be immediately usable. And one of those ones for Phallus was the Hunter talent, which I arbitrarily chose Forest because I asked Dave like which one would be most relevant. He said Forest, and then it hasn't really come up at all. But now that Phallus has a kind of a hunting target that he wants in the sea worm, I talked to David. He allowed me to change the terrain, and we decided we're going to take one that's not even listed in, which is open seas. So I'm taking one of my old talents, just modifying it. So it's still Hunter, but no longer Forest. It's open seas. And the big thing about this is that there's a thing that says you find safe places to rest, and you can't be surprised while resting, which I'm assuming when you're traveling in a boat, you're pretty much, resting. And so Phallus can't be caught off guard in the open seas, which is kind of nice when you're hunting a sea worm.
Yeah. So the way I would say, like, is this is way more applicable to Phallus's backstory than what we had done based on the listed stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of why we wanted to do that. And then the other thing is, like, just to clarify, like, if you're in like docks, coastlines, lakes, even none of that's not going to apply. We're talking about like on the high seas, like in deep water.
Yep. And then I had 2 XP to spend from the Skaven adventure that we did. And Nico was the one who brought this talent to my attention, which is Trophy Taker from the Champions of Order. And it just seems to be tailor-made for Phallus. rereading the talent, it's not as great as I thought it was originally, but I feel obligated to take it. So basically, I can declare a certain type of creature. And then also for any like major encounter, I can take a trophy from their body, which Phallus already kind of does inherently in his nature. And for every trophy I have, once per battle, I can display that trophy and basically recite my clan history, and then I can regain a medal or recover from the frightened condition. So I guess for me and you, Dave, we'll have to discuss like how many trophies does Phallus technically already have, and then as for the creature type that I'm going to choose, I'm thinking I might take Skavens as the creature type, because I have a feeling that we might, or at least I'm hoping for more fun naval battles against Clan Bildrot, which would really suit Phallus's character. But yeah, so that's something interesting. The thing that about Trophy Taker that I thought wasn't as great was that once you've used a trophy in this manner, it no longer provides that bonus. So I can only display my rat tail so many times before it no longer makes me happy that I have a rat tail.
Damn. I worked so hard on it.
Exactly, right? Yeah. I feel like if it's a boss type trophy, maybe it's worth more than one use. That's just my opinion. But
well, it's champion or chosen, yeah. So those are the boss types.
Yeah, the boss types. So yeah, it all depends. And then also like for things that just like vanish into dust, like what the heck do I make out of them? I just put them in a jar or something? Who knows? For the sub faction, I actually had no idea what I wanted to do for Phallus. I even considered momentarily like just picking, like making a custom made one, but there was a couple that kind of caught my eye. There was one for, again, knowing that Phallus likes to have like little trinkets and objects, talismans of Morda, where you have amassed a small collection of talismans, amulets, charms, or often carved from bones or embellished with raven feathers. When adorned with your weapons or worn on your person, they help me fight against the undead and ethereal. So my weapons and armor always counts as magical against undead and demonic creatures, which I thought was kind of cool. I don't know exactly if it fits with like the trinket stuff. Obviously fits, but it's also slightly magical, which Phallus hates magic. But maybe it's like it helps him fight against magical things. So maybe that's
which city is this based on? Because you're one of the three peoples. Lethis. Okay.
Lethis. It's also kind of like dark and gothic, which doesn't really suit Phallus's like nature, I think. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but that was the one I just because like, oh yeah, trinkets and stuff like that.
I think that like the implication of it being magical isn't like you're not Gandalf casting spells or anything like that. Like in like the Warhammer universe, like witch hunters, like anti
that's what I was thinking.
Things. Like they do have those kinds of things. Yeah, totally, exactly.
Now the other thing I don't know is what does it mean if my weapons and armors counts as magical against undead and demonic creatures? Because I tried looking it up and I didn't see anything like as magical trait for weapons and armor.
I believe, and I am kind of speaking off the cuff here, I don't know this for sure. I think it's like there's some resistances that you'd be bypassing.
Okay.
But I'm not sure about that.
I don't know if it has played like a major role yet, but I feel like it could potentially, like if they get damage, like if ghouls or wraiths get damage reduction against physical attacks, now maybe it counts full damage against them, which would be kind of cool. The other one that I was looking at was the Bright Spear one, where you're resourceful. And that sounds like Phallus. He's very resourceful. You can swap around all your training and focus however you like whenever you're doing an endeavor, and you can also take a talent that allows you to do an additional endeavor every endeavor period. The only question I had about this one is if I swap around my training and focus, there are some talents you can only unlock because they have a prerequisite, like you have to have a training or focus or whatever in these ones. If I unlock those talents and then I swap away from that, would I then lose the ability to do that talent?
Well, you don't get to do two endeavors.
Maybe I was looking at something else.
You're doing your endeavor, but in addition to doing your endeavor, this is you swap these things.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at. I got it mixed up with another one. There was Hammerhall Garia that gets the industrious talent. That was what I was looking at. I got that one mixed up with this one. Yeah, the industrious talent is a talent that lets you take 2 endeavors, but you will have to take the talent as well. But that's not Bright Spear. Anyways, yeah, these are things I was looking at. But I think I was definitely leaning towards the Talisman of Morta, just because more things for Phallus to have and brag about.
Cool. All right, sounds good. Maris, do you want to go next?
Hi, hello, yes. I'm going with Bright Spear, actually. So Phallus is from Bright Spear as well. Hey, explains their background.
Yeah, besties for life.
But one of the reasons I went with Bright Spear, I mean, it helps that there's already a lot of content out, like because there's, I think, Streets of Bright Spear in the starter pack, which I'll have to pick up. But there's just stuff that is going on in Bright Spear that like matched with her background. Like it's a newer city, so her family that are trade pioneers would have moved in there to start more trade, right? Because it's a newer city. They moved from another one there. Was it? I always mess up. Zinch. Like there was already been a Lord of Change that's popped up in her life, and so part of her background is she joined the military very briefly. So the idea is like probably fighting some of those Zinch demons and whatnot that kind of approach on Bright Spear. So I went with that just because it just worked really well, and Bright Spear City is just awesome. And then as Phallus or Murray mentioned, the resourceful trait where you can swap, what was it?
You can swap the training and focus in any one skill with a training and focus in another skill.
Oh no, sorry. Ignore tool requirements. That's what it is. Tool requirements, Resourcefulness are used to making the most of what they have on hand. You can ignore the tool requirements for any test or endeavor, but the difficulty increases by 1. And so I was like, cool. And then when there's a period of downtime, then you can swap. Going into, or with any endeavor or any period of downtime, you can swap training and focus in any one skill with another skill.
There's also a hidden benefit of coming from Bright Spear, is that you actually might have a chance of knowing Gordon in your backstory.
No, that's the non-canon.
It all connects. Yeah. Okay, and what are you going to spend your XP on? Did we talk about that?
No, we didn't. So I have 1 XP.
Don't spend it all in one place. Yeah. So
like I was thinking of holding on to it, but like I found recently that I've been using Guile more, and I don't have any training or any focus in Guile. So I was gonna because like I like to think Maris is charming. Maybe not everyone thinks that, but I think she is charming in her own right, and that's part of the Guile skill, and she it matches really well with the diplomacy trait. So I was gonna put 1 in training for Guile.
Cool. Yeah, that's probably a good call, especially considering I don't think very many of you have like social facing skills in general.
You take that back.
Correctly?
Only Frostblade.
There was a talent though that I was like, if I had enough, I would get it from I don't remember what the talent was called, but it was something about the way your voice sounds. It just really inspires others. And I was like, oh yeah, Maris's high, squeaky voice is super pleasant on your ears and inspiring.
It's so draining that people just want to do whatever you say so that you stop asking them to do it.
I don't know why, but I love it.
I'll do whatever you say. Just stop talking.
Maybe eventually I'll do that because I just thought that was really funny.
That's cool. Yeah. Sweet. Bort?
Hello. Hi. So I was looking over what were they called? The subclasses? And there's one that's perfect for Bort. It's called Barrack Mornar, and let me read you the description for it. Denounced as corsairs, thieves, and worse, the Barrack Mornar are notorious for specializing in unexpected and underhanded tactics. So that kind of reflects the mysterious secret surgeries, maybe.
And stealing all the treasure?
It sounds a little bit like he's already shady enough and to fit into this subclass, and so I figured that'd be a perfect fit for him. The extra rules that I have for him are called: Who strikes first strikes hardest. You are an opportunistic privateer, comfortable employing any unfair advantage, so you can attack with the element of surprise. You gain additional dice equal to your training in Guile on your first attack in the first round of combat.
Rad.
And additionally, if there's a surprise round, I gain twice that amount of dice. So,
Nice.
And that kind of rolls
Nice.
into what I wanted to spend my XP on. I don't have any training in Guile either, and I noticed that like it has come up a couple times, but with this new subclass, it kind of works perfectly. So I have 4 XP to spend, and I kind of just want to spend 1 to get that first training in Guile and kind of hang on to the rest, I think.
Cool.
Shoot first and don't ask any questions.
And Bort's really, really charming with his grunts.
Yes.
They're curt, but they're very smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very convincing.
Bort is such a creep. This is just
What?
he's so creepy. And he's just like he's like a little surgery goblin, like just taking what he wants. And
That's perfect. That's exactly how I imagine him.
Make an unagi, you know? Except you don't have the God's Eye anymore, and that makes me sad.
so that was quite a thing to let go of because it was worth a lot.
It was, but I feel like maybe in the future, Mariah Carrion could maybe accompany us as my like NPC God's Eye Slinger.
I love that name so
I
much.
hate that name so much.
Oh yeah, high five, Franco.
Was it you, Dave, that called me Mariah every now and then when like just in real life?
That's the origin of it. Was to sound overly formal with Murray, I would call him Mariah, and then it just kind of naturally went to Mariah Carrion.
Oh, so you were saying it as a form of respect. I always thought you were just making fun of me and my name.
Respect? I didn't hear
Wow.
respect in that description. That's weird.
Formal.
Yeah,
It's
I didn't
like,
read respect out of that either.
Well, I'm not saying it was funny or clever, but the intention was like.
Oh, Dave, let me stop you. It wasn't. Please continue.
The idea would be like going from Murray, like as an analog to Tim, or like Timmy, to Timothy being Mariah. I'm cutting all this shit.
Lose 2 XP.
Yeah, the DM loses XP.
Lose 2 XP
Yeah.
from the DM. Sorry, man.
Yeah. Frosty.
Yeah, 3 XP to spend all in Guile. I hope that doesn't step on anybody's toes, but...
You know what? We could have used that for that other place. With
Could have used a lot of things in the past. So, yeah, Frostblade...
Hindsight.
Yeah, Frostblade does have 3 XP. I am saving up for secret surgery related talents, of course. For things. We'll see if I get there. So in terms of his backstory, I chose so long ago. I'm going to say 3 to 4 weeks ago. I actually wrote up a backstory for Frostblade. So because he's a Kurnoth hunter and the god Kurnoth is actually dead. And many of the Kurnoth hunters, probably all of them actually, do believe that he can come back through doing his works, which is more or less hunting down the forces of chaos, especially the forces of Nurgle. He may come back again. Anywho, because of all of this, and because the Heartwood Glade is so fond of Kurnoth hunters, it became quite natural for me to settle on the Heartwood Glade as being sort of Frostglade's backstory. But because of some other decisions I've made and who he is, he'd never really fit in with the Heartwood Glade. So as a result, even though they did give me a place to exist and belong to a certain extent for a good amount of my life, Frostglade, we're going to work up something a little bit custom for him as a free spirit that I hope will reflect a little bit better his more caring and maybe defensive and groupthink feelings. So that's my plan, and Dave's going to work with me on that one. And thanks for listening, guys. We healed Soulfire. My favorite joke.
I hope it involves like taking free actions and reciting your clan history.
How did you know? Yeah. So I'm saving my XP, and later on when we do the endeavors, I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit of the backstory there.
Awesome. Okay, so that's everything for your side?
Yepers.
Okay, cool. And finally, Cass.
Man, okay, I can go one of two ways here. First way, I can spend my XP, or I can not spend my XP and keep a hold of it for a big surprise that I'm trying to work on. Or I can just spend my XP on that really, really good new feat where you just, if somebody enters your zone, you just shoot them, which seems to be Cass's kind of go-to. But
That's
I'm
really
kind of
good.
leaning.
Wow.
I'm leaning towards number one because I think it'll be more fun. And then in terms of backgrounds, so within my character's story, Cass is from a place called Amber, which is, I guess, not canonically a place in Akshi, but perhaps we can make it a place in Akshi and maybe just sub in one of the what are they called? The free people's settlements.
The free cities? Yeah. Yeah, we can do something like that. So wait, what is Amber and what is Gulch?
Well, Amber is the big city that Cass originally grew up in, with her father, who was kind of like a one of the militia blacksmiths. So he made weapons there and kind of kept the militia armed. But then the idea is that is a city in which it is very aristocratic. So there's a lot of like the higher ups get a lot of benefits while stomping on the little person, and that kind of wore thin. So that brought a group of people together within that city, and those are the people that started up Gulch, which is kind of like a fledgling town. But the idea is that it's not very safe out in Akshi, so that's Gulch right now, and Cass is trying to bring people over to the Sigmar Islands for a more safe kind of town. So with that said, I'm torn between either getting an ally, perhaps, or ally or contact from Ember. But if we don't want Ember to be a place, then I'm going to go with Stubborn Defiance, which is from Hammerhall.
We can definitely work out the deals of Amber being a place. Like there's no concerns in having
it's Ember, not Amber.
Oh,
like
okay.
A flame, yeah.
Well, then no, I'm sorry.
Okay,
it's
yeah, that's fair, yeah.
I am curious about the surprise you're working towards.
Well, a
surprise?
Yeah, it would be terrible.
No, I meant maybe you want to continue to gather XP for your terrible surprise?
It's not going to be a terrible surprise.
Oh, okay.
I think it's going to be really cool. But it's just going to take a little bit more
XP.
XP.
A cattlemancer.
A cattlemancer. I summon beef.
You shoot a cow out of your gun.
So yeah, if Amber can be a place, then I think I'll go with this. I hate the name of it because it doesn't really jive with Cass, but it's called Illicit Dealings. You have the power to influence in
underhanded.
You have the power to influence in Anvilgard, or in this case, Ember. So I can now have, you have to know the right people. Oh, sorry, I don't know why that was so difficult to say. You have to know the right people. Choose any two allies and contacts listed on the page 123, which I had a look at. And then I can have a relationship with those contacts, or I can choose one of those contacts and have a greater benefit from them. And I was looking at a seer. So we'll get a greater benefit with a seer from Ember, perhaps an old childhood friend. And the benefit is that I'll know a celestial seer in Ember, and so I can pay them 100 drops, and they'll look forward into time and then divine an omen. If the omen is good, then my focus in a chosen skill increases by 1 during my next adventure. But if the omens are bad, then my defense decreases by 1 step until my next adventure is done.
Okay.
When you would first become wounded during this time, the severity of the wound is reduced by a step. If this effect prevents you from becoming mortally wounded, you still lose your benefit to defense, like the mortally wounded steps indicate. But the greater benefit is kind of cool. It kind of looks into the future. You can pay an extra 75 drops to the seer because just, throw money at it. The seer looks into your future and finds a fated moment. This fated moment can be any test, such as a pivotal strike that must find its mark, or a moment of effort that must succeed. During the course of your next adventure, when you fail a test, you may declare the use of the fated moment. This fated moment can be used to reattempt an attack that failed to damage an enemy, or a spell that failed to affect an enemy. And when you declare you're using your fated moment, you roll your dice pool again and add 2d6 to the attempt. But if I fail, then I increase doom, of course. So it's kind of like you spend 175 drops for a reroll.
And Maris gets that for free and doesn't use it. So
Yeah.
I did use it in that one episode, but you said I didn't. I did. I only used 1 out of 2.
Okay, I don't remember that. Oh,
I choose to not remember that.
No.
Boy,
Sounds
Dave,
made
your
up.
face says egg on it, man.
yeah, I guess so. Okay, so you're gonna go with the connections?
Yeah, I think connections make sense.
Cool. And we can hash that out between sessions and kind of get that all set up.
Cool.
So that's your background on an endeavor. So we'll need to also just figure out, like, Amber is a far way away, so we'll need to figure out what that looks like.
Yeah.
In terms of like communication and where they're located and everything. But yeah, awesome. And I think that's everybody for leveling. So we're just gonna do endeavors next.
What about Pickles? I heard something about Pickles was going to level up and become something greater.
Yeah, I heard that Pickles was going to take that greater companion feat and then
That
get all
sounded more
muscular.
like you replace Pickles with something else.
Not how. Pickles is going to become a Stormcast.
Wow. Pickles, it's just this anthropomorphic, like mink
Go
creature.
on, finish that.
Dylan, did you see the new companions actually in the?
Yes, I want a flaming spider. I want a flaming spider that Pickles rides.
I was just looking at the new companions, and I had this vision of Maris just collecting companions as we go.
Oh my
She's
gosh.
ass ketchup, except not an asshole.
Oh, no.
This is gonna be a whole Narachu all over again, isn't it?